Sorry, sir. We had a 12 years female, firstborn of non-consanguineous marriage, came to us with complaints of fever for 4 days, abdomen pain for 2 days, vomiting for 2 days, and loose stool 1 day. So this was her assessment when we received her in the E-room. Her airway was stable. She had an effortless tachypnea, saturation of 100% with oxygen through NRM. She was tachycardic. She had cool peripheries with distal peripheral pulses. CRT was prolonged. Liver span was normal. BP was 60/40, which was less than 5th percentile for her age. And she was awake, obeying commands. Eyes were in mid position, no lid twitch or nystagmus. Her extraocular movements were full. And her sugar and temperature at presentation were normal. Other system examination, cardiovascular system, S1, S2 heart, no murmur. RS, bilateral air entry was equal and clear. Per abdomen was soft, no organomegaly. And tone is equal in all 4 limbs, no focal deficit. Head to foot examination revealed bilateral conjunctival suffusion and right subconjunctival hemorrhage was present. So in view of the hypotensive shock, she was resuscitated with a fluid bolus of 60 ml per kg. And in view of refractory hypotensive shock, she was started on, it was a fluid refractory shock. So she was started on inotropes and intubated. Shock got corrected with epinephrine infusion of 0.4 mics per kg per minute, and she was shifted to PICU. So in PICU, her blood reports revealed an elevated total count with polymorph predominance. Her hemoglobin was 9.2 grams per deciliter, platelets normal, ESR elevated, CRP was positive, urea and creatinine were elevated, liver enzymes were within normal limits, prothrombin time, APTT, INR slightly elevated, and urine routine showed albumin of 3 plus and 10 to 15%. Chest X-ray was normal, and we proceeded with the COVID RT-PCR, which was negative. So with this presentation and blood reports, our provisional diagnosis was septic shock, query MISC. So we did an echo, which showed a mild LV dysfunction with an EF of 51% and FS of 21%. And coronary artery measurements revealed an LMC of 3 millimeter with a Z score of minus 0.8, RCA 3.9 millimeters with Z scores of plus 2.54, which is dilated, and LAD measuring 2 millimeters with Z score of minus 0.75. And she had a mild pericardial effusion too. So we then did a D-dimer. The levels were 6.65 micrograms per ml, which is elevated. And hence we did an IgG COVID, which was positive with a titer of 83.77. Urine and blood cultures showed no growth. So with this, we had a diagnosis of MISC. So by day 2 of admission, we have started her on IVIG at a dose of 2 grams per kg and methylprednisolone. So treatment was going on. And by day 3, she had a fall in sensorium. And her bedside fundus examination revealed right side fundal bleeds. So we actually wanted to do a CT brain at that point, but we couldn't shift her in view of refractory hypotensive shock with multiple inotropes and ventilatory support. And she continued to have fever spikes too. Her blood count, serial blood counts showed a falling trend of total counts, hemoglobin and platelet. So we did a bone marrow aspiration, which was suggestive of hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis when she was already on steroids. And we escalated her antibiotics. Still fever spikes were persisting, which came down by day 9. By day 10, we did a repeat echo, which showed thrombi in the left ventricle. We were able to localize 2 thrombi, one at the apex measuring 2 cross 1.5 centimeter, and another one along interventricular septum measuring 0.5 cross 1.1 centimeter, as you could see in the picture. The clots along the interventricular septum is is visible in this picture. On the right side, you could see the clot, and the picture on the left side shows the measurement. So as per cardiologist opinion, at this point, we have started low molecular weight heparin. So at this point, the child was on antibiotics, low molecular weight heparin, aspirin, steroids, and inotrope support. By day 13, we were able to stop her inotrope support. But by day 14, on neurological examination, she had developed right hemiparesis. So we shifted her for a CT brain, which revealed an infarct involving the left frontoparietal region, as shown in this neuroimaging. So we called the neurologist for their opinion. So she was then started on unfractionated heparin, initially at a bolus with a bolus dose of 75 units per kg, followed by 20 units per kg per hour infusion was started for her with APTT monitoring. After all these, by day 20, we were able to extubate the child. The next day after extubation, she was still continued on heparin infusion at the same dose, 20 units per kg per hour. And we have also added her on tablet azithromycin at a dose of 0.2 milligrams per kg with a target INR of 1.5 to 2.5. By day 24, her serial monitoring showed a prolonged APTT. So we had to stop her heparin infusion and we had continued only on azithromycin and aspirin. Repeat echo on day 27 actually showed a reduction in the size of the clots and EF was good. So we planned to shift her to the ward with azithromycin under INR monitoring, aspirin and oral steroids. In the ward, the child's child's vital signs were stable. By day 36, she again developed fever spikes. So septic workup were repeated and antibiotics were restarted in the ward. And in her neurologist, as per the neurologist review, her thrombotic workup were actually planned. So protein C, S, antithrombin activity, lipoprotein A were all planned, but we couldn't do at that point because the next day the child deteriorated in the form of a melena and her INR was prolonged. So her anticoagulants were stopped. Child then clinically became pale. She developed shock and had seizures in the ward. So her ABCD were stabilized with intubation, fluid boluses, blood products for the bleeds, and AED for seizures. She was given vitamin K also, and then shifted back to PICU. So we then had a repeat neuroimaging for her, which revealed subacute infarct of left frontoparietal region with hemorrhagic transformations, as you're able to see in this picture. So in PICU, she was treated, she was there with us for a period of about 48 hours. Despite all the efforts, the child had a refractory shock and succumbed to sepsis and refractory ICP. So this case was quite challenging for us in view of the unusual cardiac manifestation. That is, cardiac thrombi was new for us in MISC. And so far as in pediatrics, the common cardiac manifestations in MISC that we have seen were cardiogenic shock, arrhythmias, pericardial effusion, and coronary artery dilation. Biochemical markers of inflammation will be raised in these children. And we have seen PCR positivity in around 33% of these patients. IgM, IgG antibodies together positivity seen in around 15.7 and IgG positivity alone seen in around 45%. So as we all know, the consistently elevated levels of D-dimers has emerged as an independent risk factor for poor outcome. The pathophysiology underlying hypercoagulable state is poorly understood. A severe inflammatory response originating in alveoli triggers a dysfunctional cascade of thrombosis in pulmonary vasculature, leading to the local coagulopathy. In severe patients, this is followed by a generalized hypercoagulable state that results in micro and macrovascular thrombosis. Intracardiac thrombi in MISC has not been reported so far. Otherwise, apart from MISC, intracardiac thrombi in children has an overall mortality of around 39%, and embolic events has been seen in around 13 to 15%, and 63% of them would resolve with medical therapy alone, and only a very few would require a surgical thrombectomy. So this case was quite challenging for us because we have had almost more than 150 cases of MISC in our institute, but intracardiac thrombi, this is the first case we saw. And we had so many challenges in her management because she had her initial EF was around 51%. But over a period of time, she had a fall in EF and we had a least value of around EF of around 33% also was once documented. But we couldn't start her on low molecular weight heparin at that point also because clinically we found a fundal bleed, which was confirmed by an ophthalmologist also. But once we found a frank thrombi in the left ventricle, we were able to start we started her on low molecular weight heparins. but within 4 days, she had an embolic event in the form of stroke. So this was very unusual and challenging for us, and that is why we wanted to present it here today. Thank you all. These are my references. Thanks to our director, Professor Edilarsi ma'am, for this opportunity. Our thanks to cardiologists and neurologists for their guidance in this management. Thank you.